These notes cover the start of the statistics unit, which is what's going to take us till the end of the school year. So first we're going to start by filling in this blank. And statistics deal with four things. There's mean, median, mode, and range. And those are all called measures of center. So a measure of center is a single number that's used to describe numeric data. So if you look at an entire set of numbers, you can pinpoint one number to describe it. And a measure of center describes the typical value from the data set. The four of those, there's different ways that you'll calculate the four of those: mean, median, mode, and range. And the hardest one to do is the mean. So to find the mean, and you've actually done this before back when we would do the football frenzies, to calculate the mean, which is the same thing as finding the average, you add up all of the data and divide by how many data points there were. So when we did the football frenzy, if you had 4 people in your group, to find your average score, you would add all 4 of those scores up and divide by 4, and that would give you the average. And then up this one, we've got the number in the middle when they're ordered from least to greatest, and that's pretty simple. It's the median. When you think of a median, it kind of sounds like middle. The next one, it says repeating data, and that's called the mode. And if there is no repeating data, if there's not a single number that repeats itself, you have to literally say no mode. And then the next one is range, and that just tells you how far your numbers range. So you take the biggest number in the data set and you subtract the smallest number. In order to have statistical questions, you've got to have, or in order to have statistical data, you have to ask a statistical question. So that's what this next section is over. Statistical versus a non-statistical question. I'm going to ask you to label it S or NS. So the first one says, how many sodas does your class drink in a month? If you were to ask this to the entire class, you would get different answers. And so that would be an example of a statistical question. In order to use numbers like to actually find data within it, all the numbers can't be the same. So on this next one, it says how many states are in the US? Well, no matter how many kids you ask, unless they just don't know the answer, but they should, but no matter how many people you ask, you're going to get the same response over and over again. So you can't really do anything with a data set where everyone says 50. So that's going to be non-statistical. Let's make that a little bit bigger. What's your favorite color? If you have to ask a question that doesn't give you responses that are numbers, then it's for sure non-statistical. Because in order to work with statistics, you have to have people respond with number answers, not colors. And then the next one, how many students got an A on their zoo project? So this one, it's a little tricky. It depends on how you interpret it. Because if I were to go class by class, like first hour, third hour, sixth hour, seventh hour, eighth hour, I would have a different number of kids in each class that got an A on their zoo project. But if I were to just ask for the entire 6th grade, how many kids got an A on their zoo project, I would just get one answer. So with statistical and non-statistical questions, if you can defend your argument, then I'll accept it. But on this one, if you were to just ask the entire 6th grade, it would be non-statistical. However, like I already said, if you were to ask each individual class, it could be statistical. So in that case, I'm going to put statistical or non-statistical because it truly just depends on how you ask the question. Make that a little bit bigger. Now let's actually try some stuff. So on this next one, it says, how many siblings do you have? So let's just make up some numbers. Let's say that student 1 has 2 siblings. That's a little large. Student 2 can have just 1 sibling. We'll give student 3 5 siblings. Student 4 can have 4 siblings. And then we'll give student 5 2 siblings again. That way we have at least one repeating number. Step 1, to do anything is to order numbers in order from least to greatest. So we've got 1, 2, 2, 4, and 5. Now to find the mean, you have to add all of those up and divide by, let's see, there were 5 kids, so divide by 5. I'll make that a little bit smaller. So 1 plus 2 plus, I probably didn't need a calculator for this, plus 4 plus 5. So we're at 14, and then we're going to divide it by 5 because that's how many kids there were. So your mean, your average, is going to be 2.8. The median is the number in the middle. So if you look right here, they're already in order from least. They have to be in order from least to greatest to find the number in the middle. So the one right in the middle is this 2. So the median is 2. The mode is the numbers that repeat. So there's only one number that repeats in this data set, and it's 2. And the range is the biggest number, so 5, minus the smallest number, which would have been 1 in this case. So 5 minus 1, your range is 4. Okay, on this next one, it's a dot plot, and it's a number line with blue dots above it, and each blue dot represents one data point. So if you look at the 0, there's 2 dots above it, so there's 2 zeros. And then there's 1, 3, there's 1, 5, 2 6s, 2 8s, 1 9, and 1 10. Let me see. So to make sure I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I should have 10 data points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So for the mean, you got to add all of that up. I don't need to do the zeros. So 3 plus 5 plus 6 plus 6 plus 2 8s, 1 9, and 1 10. So 55, and then I already said there were 10 data points. So 55 divided by 10 is going to give me 5.5. So your mean is 5.5. The median, so the number in the middle. So you've got to start on the outsides and work your way in for this. Let's see. I believe there's 2 numbers in the middle, and they're right here. So whenever there are 2 numbers in the middle, you have to find the average of those 2, aka finding the mean. So if there's 2 numbers in the middle, you got to add them up and divide by 2. So 6 plus 6, that's 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. For the mode, there's a lot of numbers that repeat. There's actually 3. So we're going to have 3 modes. We've got 0, we've got 6, and we have 8. And then the range would just be the biggest number, so 10 minus the smallest number, which was 0, so the range is 10. Okay, we've got one more. Okay, on this last one, it's a clipboard, and it says the mileage that distance kids ran at track practice. So I've already ordered them from least to greatest because that's what was taking so long. To find the mean, you got to add them all up and divide by how many there were. So first, let's find out how many there were. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so we're going to add them all up and divide by 11. 3 plus 4 plus 2 5s plus 6. There's 2 7s, 1 8, and 3 10s. Okay, so 215 divided by 11. See. Let's try that again. When I was typing in the 5s, I accidentally put in 55. So it's actually 75. So I need to take 75 and divide that by 11. And then I get this repeating decimal. So we're just going to say 6.81. And then for the median, I need the number in the middle. Take your data set, and we've got this is the easiest way to find the number in the middle when you have a huge data set. Okay, so I think it's this 7, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the right, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the left. So the median is 7. The mode, there's several numbers that repeat because the 5 repeats, the 7 repeats, but the most repeated number is 10. And then the range would be 10 minus 3, so 7. Make sure you got all of that copied down and then glued in your notebook.